Hello, welcome to the charcoal tutorial. We're going to work today on charcoal steps and just learning how to work with the materials. So I'm going to start by going over materials. So what you're going to need for this is a charcoal pencil. There's different types of charcoal pencils. The one that I have is 4B soft. So you need a charcoal pencil. You need a stick, so a charcoal stick. This is a compressed charcoal stick. And then you also need a charcoal vine. So these little vine charcoals, this is a soft one. They come in hard, soft, different variations of soft ones. So all of this is pretty much soft. The soft is easier to handle. It's easier to blend as well. And if something that's charcoal is hard, that's more for the drawing, not so much for the blending. Then we have the last two materials. We have paper towel to blend and then a blending stump. So this little white stick with the points on the end, this is literally to blend. Now to clean this up on the ends, if you have a piece of sandpaper, you can actually go through and sand it off. Or if there's no sandpaper, if you go outside into the cement, you can actually go through and do this against the cement and it will sand it off. And then you can keep using it. So please go to your handout where it says working with charcoal, creating value. Right here at the top. You got this from me. And so this first part, this just talks about the materials that you will need. I went over the charcoal pencils, the vine, the sticks. There's white charcoal that does exist as well. However, we're not going to work on white charcoal for this project, so you don't need to worry about it until later on. And then this here, that's the kneaded eraser. That's the gray one that looks like gum that you can use to line up your values. Then we have steps for drawing with charcoal and working with this. You can go ahead and look over these steps. This is actually what we're going to use when we go to the third page and start drawing, shading and adding value to our forms. However, we don't need this yet. We're going to go to the second page. So go ahead and turn the page. And you should be at the value scales. So please read the instructions. What you're going to do here is you're going to complete 3 value scales using each type of charcoal. And so the types are right here. You have the vine, the stick, and the pencil. And you're going to go from black to white. And there's an example up at the top. You should have white on one side, black on the other, and then all the values in between. Now when we do this, it is labeled on here which one should go in which spot so you can keep track of it later on. And the point of this is so that you can realize which ones are darker when you add value with them, which ones are easier to work with, which ones you like to work with. Typically, the vine charcoal is the least dark, and this is usually used only for the drawing part. So you would only draw with this, and when you want to add value to a big area, you would use a stick. And when you wanted to add value to detail, you'd usually go with the fine tip of the pencil. So we're going to go ahead and start with the vine. So that's the first one, vine charcoal. I'm going to go from black to white. So please stay in the box as much as possible. If you go outside of it, that's fine. You're going to go through, and for the black, you're pressing in as hard as you can. Don't leave white streaks going through it. Let's go through, close that up. So try not to leave any white streaks going through. And you can blow away the rest. You can erase this later and clean it up later. You can go in with the blending stump and blend. And you can actually see that if you blend with the blending stump, it tends to pick up some of the vine charcoal. So you could go in there again with another layer if you needed to. Or you can go in with your napkin or even your finger, really. Now, some of them will pick up a lot of the charcoal back up. So for this black one, if you want it to be very, very dark and black, I wouldn't blend too much on that one. Then you're going to go to the next one. Now on this one, it should be just a little bit darker, not too much, not darker, a little bit lighter. And to make it a little bit lighter, right now they look sort of the same. I'm just going to blend a little bit with the blending stump. That picked up some of it. I'm going to go in with the next one, and I'm just going to start pressing a little bit softer. And on this one, it is going to be some white showing through it. I'm actually going to use my blending stump to blend, and that's how I'm going to get it to look smooth. I do want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go back in with another layer. I'm not too worried about the edges either, the top and the bottom. I'm actually going to go in at the end with the eraser and fix that up. So you don't have to worry about it either. We'll go back later and we'll erase the edges. So I'm going to keep putting a few layers until I think it's dark enough to be the next box. So it's still a little bit too light. If you notice these two boxes, there's too much of a difference between them, so I'm going to keep going back in. I'm going to blend a little bit more until I'm satisfied that it's just a little bit lighter. Alright, so I'm going to go in with the next one. And I'm going to repeat. So basically you're going to repeat this all the way through until you hit the end. So right now, go ahead and pause the video and continue to do this all the way to the end, and then we'll catch up at the end once you're done. Welcome back. Now we're going to go ahead and erase and clean up the edges. So go ahead and grab an eraser. Any kind would work. You're going to go through and erase everything around so that it's nice and neat. Now usually when you're doing this kind of value scale in your project, you're going to go in and be a little bit more careful with the edges. But just like pencil, if you mess up, you can always go in with an eraser and erase. If you notice, it is coming off really easily, and that's because it is charcoal. Think of it kind of like chalk, where it comes off very easily. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to just clean this off a little bit. And there, the vine charcoal is done. So we're going to go ahead and grab the compressed stick charcoal. That's this one right here, the one that looks rectangular. And I'm going to repeat. So whatever I did with the vine, I'm going to go in and do that here as well. I'm going to go in all the way to the edge. You can probably tell right away that this has a lot more texture when you use it, and it is a lot darker already. So we're going to go in, I'm going to blend. You can use the blending stuff again if you want, or you can use your finger. This one doesn't really matter which one you decide to use. It's pretty much all the same. However, your finger tends to pick up less of the black charcoal. So if you notice that you're using the blending stump, let's say, for this one, you're going to notice that it doesn't, when you blend with something else besides your finger, it doesn't get as dark. So if you do want something to be very, very dark, your finger's going to be the best bet. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on this. I just wanted it to be a little bit lighter. I'll go to the next one. And I'm going to continue this all the way through until I get to white. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, and then I will see you when you are done with the row of compressed charcoal sticks. Welcome back. So now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing that we did with the vine charcoal. Grab an eraser and clean up the edges. Now this one, once you get to the dark area especially, you're going to notice it's a little bit harder to take off the dark compressed charcoal once it's very, very dark. That's normal. So that's just a tip to be careful when you do the project. So if you go very dark, it's going to be harder to erase it later on. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and go in with the charcoal pencil. That's this orange one with the fine tip. And we are going to repeat again. So go ahead and start off. And you can use finger, blending stump, paper towel, it doesn't really matter. Go ahead and continue on that. You might end up liking certain things better. Use the one you prefer. And I will see you in a little bit once you reach all the way to the white. Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and also clean this up. So use your eraser and clean up the edges. So now you can see the difference between the two. You can see which one is smoother, which one has more texture. You can also see which one blends better. Typically the top one, that's for drawing. The charcoal stick, that is for shading large objects. And usually for detail you have the charcoal pencil. In this next tutorial coming up, we're going to go ahead and do the third page, which is the forms, adding value to the forms. We are going to use the value sheet that you received in the beginning of the school year and that you're going to receive today. So please make sure that you have this out and next to it, and we'll do that in the next video tutorial.